Good evening, everyone. Jose J. Garcia, real estate investor, coach, and mentor. So, Sunday coaching series continues. Good evening, Instagram and Zoom, of course, recorded on the background. It will be posted. Our videos all come Monday morning on our YouTube. So, you can always watch the replay. I'll watch it as many times as you like. But we are going to be covering a coaching call this evening on foreclosures, mobile homes. So, definitely, it's a great call. And we're covering these, questions continue to be sent to our emails, which are great. I love them. But this is one that I'm seeing a lot of investors struggle in. And it's because they are not, we'll talk about the coaching. It is a lot of confusion and it's a lot of gray area where this is where it starts to get in that legal sense, if you will. So, we're going to cover topic by topic, and also because we are in the process of doing 3 foreclosures ourselves. So, always trying to implement, always trying to teach, guide anywhere we can add value. And that's what we're here. So we learn from our losses, we learn from our mistakes, and that's how we get better. But I also want to contribute so that other people getting started, you kind of have already a better way of going through some of these issues, which not to scare anyone off, but the more deals you do, the more investments, these things will come up sooner or later. That's just part of it. It's part of the investment, part of the game. If you're a landlord, you will have troubled tenants. If you are a flipper, you're going to have issues with a flip, or those things come. So it's always to be aware more so, if you will. But good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining me. I know it's Sunday, 8 p.m. EST time. We had a trip over to where we will be investing. I've made my mind. That's also an area I want to definitely focus on, which is Hilltop, South Carolina. Beautiful area. Beautiful area. We're studying the markets now, the numbers. So we're definitely going to be getting some investments, connections, etc. So, and more announcements towards the end. But let's go ahead and get started. I want to jump right on into this topic. And again, 3 foreclosures are under review at this point. And the reason is, rentals, rent-to-owns, lease options, flips, all different. They're all different. They're all different paperwork. They're all different agreements. They're all different rules. They're all different regulations. I can keep on going. And the one thing not to forget is every county is different. So that's where it starts getting a little tricky. This county here works a certain way, does not mean the county next door is going to do the same thing. Some of you send me emails talking about, hey, the rules here in Texas are different from Georgia. I hope so. Yeah, I'm sure. And a lot of times it may not even be so much the rules as it is the names of certain things. Example, and we do this a lot with bond titles and title replacements and bin verifies, etc. It's not that the process is different, it's that the documents are named differently. So if you were to call your tag office or tax or whoever, say, hey, give me a T22B form for bin verify in Texas, it doesn't exist. That's in Georgia. So you just have to obviously, this is why I tell all investors, like, you have to really do your research. In every state, every county has a booklet. I'm talking a phone book thick of rules and regulations for landlords and stuff you should know. Not expected to know every little bitty thing on there, obviously, but taking a glance at it and trying to get yourself adjusted to the most as possible is going to benefit you. When you are doing agreements, you are dealing with legalities. This is where if you were in real estate, you wouldn't be doing that. You would have an attorney, you would have a broker, you would have realtors, and then they would do all kinds of due diligence, put the paperwork, check with the state, etc. With mobile homes being that they're personal property, much like cars, we do the work ourselves. But you got to get your stuff right. Paying a visit to your local attorney, real estate attorney, getting them to draft you the right agreements will go a long way. And it is an expense, but it's it's agreements that you keep on using over and over. Okay, so let me jump into the process right away. If you're a landlord in the state of Georgia, we're going to focus in Georgia. The eviction is pretty simple. It's typically, and for us, it's the same across the board. We give all of our tenants rents are due on the 1st, they're late after the 5th, and evictions happen on the 15th. That was originally what we were doing. Now, what happens is on the 6th, there's that fee, which is typically 10% of the entire rental, whatever it may be. Example, $700 a month, 10% would be $70 fee. Well, tenants get used to this kind of stuff. So on the 6th, they think, well, I'm already late. So, $70 extra I have to pay now on top of my $700. I'm going to go ahead and buy whatever else. And then I'm going to just wait until before the 15th so that I can pay in whatever. And we saw that trend. It was just scattering further further, and it was getting right to that line. And yes, on the 15th, at the end of the day, 5 p.m., we have our reps that immediately log in. A lot of this evictions you can do online, e-file, different counties, paperwork, you can notarize, whatever. You don't actually have to go there in person, but we have to spend the time. And it's not worth our time to do all these documents and paperwork. It's a process. But come the 16th, they have an eviction. Now, that does not mean they're evicted by any means. That means you just started the process of eviction. That tenant can still, if you choose to, in the state of Georgia, you do not have to accept rent after it's late or after so many times, or that's a rule. But if you do choose to accept it, which we have in the past, it's okay. Well, Mr. or Mrs. Tenant, at this time you have to pay what you owe, which is, let's say, $700. You have to pay the $70 fee, and you have to pay for the paperwork because every county is different. It's one of Robbins we did not long ago is 125 to 500 eviction. So you have to pay an additional 125. So that's just the process. Okay. If they don't respond to you on the 16th, or they do anything or try to pay whatever, then typically you have to give the court system X amount of days to turn in the documents over to the sheriff or police department, depends on who they use, and then they will take it upon themselves, the PD or sheriff's department, to go out and serve the residents. That could take a week. That could take longer. Some of these counties, they've taken up to 2 weeks just to go serve someone. You can't do anything when that happens. And typically, rule of thumb is once you filed an eviction, you let it be. There's no more communication. If there's going to be communications, typically in the court or through the court, etc., you don't want any kind of tension there. So, and we try to work with everybody. So it's one of those things too. Is my goal is not to evict anyone. I want to keep everyone, but it's a business. So let's say they get served at this point a week later. Once they get served, they have 7 days. So from the day the tenant got served that they were evicted, which they were well aware that this was coming, they have 7 days to go tell the court. Otherwise, we're file an answer of any kind. We have seen responses from, I'm trying to work on my rent, I'm behind because of bills, this stuff happened, this whatever, to other tenants who basically put, not true. Not true. That's enough. That is an answer. That is an answer enough that now, and the funny thing is they waited until the 7th day to file to see what they're buying time. That's what they're doing. They're buying time. So they file that, and now it goes back to the court. The court then has to issue a new document to the tenant, which they'll mail, and to me, the landlord, which they'll mail, and then basically saying that there's going to be a court date now on set date. Again, now that's pushed another week or another couple weeks, as soon as they can put you. And all this is civil, by the way. There's no criminal here. That's all civil cases. And then you basically have to appear. You have to appear in court. And I mean, we've never had an issue because all of our documents are in place. Everything checks out. It's simple cut dry. 99% of tenants don't show up to court. It's a waste of time. They bought themselves time. And when it's time to go to court, suddenly they've moved out. They're nowhere to be found. You have to go through the process. Do not skip that process. I need to evict someone because they're behind on this, but it looks like they already moved out. I'm just going to move on and start cleaning the house. And that is a no-no. Do not do that because they can come back at any time. That is tenant also rules, laws on this. So you don't want to get yourself in trouble on that. Seems like a waste of time. I still have to do the process and get them filed. And again, we have 3 going on right now, and we just served a house. We just served a vacant home. I know it's vacant. It's been vacant, but it's a process we got to do. So anyway, if they do show up to court, which we've had some to show up and they have nothing to say why they even bother to show up, is beyond me. The judge basically looks at them and say, do you owe this amount? Yes, you do. Have you tried to pay? No. Okay, well then you can either pay all in full right now if Mr. Garcia is willing to take the payment, or you're going to be evicted. Simple as that. Well, most times than not, they don't have the money, or, if we don't accept it, which we've never not accepted, but that's the end of that. But then that gives them another 3 days. Or 5 days, depends on the county. So now, okay, well then you don't have the funds to pay, or Mr. Garcia is not accepting the payment. You have now 3 to 5 days, whichever, to move out, and you have to be done. We've only had, in the 7 years of investing, going on 8 years now, 2 tenants who did the entire length and still refused to move out. So what happened is we did exactly what we just said. We went to court. They had no answer. Basically, the judge is like, you got to go. Gave them 3 days. After the 3 day, if they are still there, well, it's actually after fourth day, they are still there. Now you got to do what's called a writ, R-I-T, writ. Okay, writ of possession. So now that's more paperwork. Now, thank goodness it's free. You don't have to pay for that one. But that means you're going to file now again to have a writ of possession of your property. And this is where now you're going to have to go out there with the PD or sheriff's department, along with a team of people who can clean out the mobile home, because basically you're going out there physically to remove this tenant out. So, and again, we've done that only twice, and it's a process. It's a process. It's lengthy. It's time consuming. This is the part where now we hate being landlords, and these are the stories you start hearing. So, all right, let me jump right into the foreclosure. It's very, very different. I wasn't going to go into the rental. You got it. So, let me see. As a foreclosure, think about a car. You ever heard a story of somebody got their car repoed? What is a car repoed? It means that somebody took out a note, okay, financed a automobile. Whoever financed it holds the title. They're making payments. Suddenly they're not. They have X amount of time before, if they don't pay, they send out a team to come out, pick up the car, take it back to the bank or impound or wherever, basically take it back. That's called a repo. Mobile homes don't work that way. Somebody said it's the exact same way. No, you don't repo a mobile home. You could, but it's a whole different process. Not to mention you have the moving, the permits. I'm not going to get into that. Let's focus solely on taking back ownership. That's what we're talking about. Taking back ownership. We got three, like I mentioned. So what happens is I am the bank. I am financing this individual or this family, these people. We've created our terms or agreements. Everything is on paper. And again, everything is on point. If you are not sure, send it to an attorney. Hey, review this, check it out. Make sure we're up to par, per se. Somebody said also, ask the court system. Courts cannot give you legal advice. Don't waste your time calling the court down the county. And if they do give you advice, I'd probably question it anyway. So don't do that. Get it in writing. Do that. If they're willing to give you advice, they're not. Get it in writing. But so the same way happens. Now, when you go and do a foreclosure, the example that was given to me at the first court we did, it was Aaron's Entertainment Center. You got to do a foreclosure. So basically, the store Aaron's, the way they do their whole appliances, whatever, same thing. They let people take one of these products home with them. They paid, and if they don't, they have to do a foreclosure. The exact same thing happens with the mobile home. You have to go and file a foreclosure on a personal property mobile home. Okay. Now, the whole eviction thing has to be part of it as well. So you have to go in there. But if you file, and we made this mistake before, is we just did a normal eviction. And, if the buyer does not know, may not work, may not go either way. But if the buyer does and shows up to court like this one did and say, well, I'm not renting the home, I'm owning the home because I have an agreement, then they're able to show where they were actually buying it. Now there can be confusion on equity. There could be confusion on some type of percentage. And a lot of judges do not know that when it comes to mobile homes. One of the cases ended up going from civil all the way to magistrate. As soon as we got there, it was pretty simple, but it turned out the judge didn't know. Okay. Same process. Go and file a foreclosure on personal property. Be very detailed on what it is, the year, the make, the model. List on there in big bold letters, mobile home, so that they know it's a mobile home. Okay. You're not trying to take it. You're just trying to get the ownership of it again because of failed agreement, or whatever the terms may be. If they refuse to move out, even if you won the case, which you will, if they can't prove that they paid you, then it's going to be the exact same thing. You're going to have to go through the whole process. So let me talk about I'm not going to mention the city. It's Central Georgia. So the way this county works is we went in there, we did a foreclosure, filed everything like we should, and the same numbers came to us. It said, all right, once they get served, give them 7 days to answer, and then after the 7th day, then we can go to step number 2. Wouldn't tell me what step number 2 is, which I'm familiar with. Fine. So I let the 7 days go by. No response from the buyer, the resident. So of course I call the county. I ask them, hey, can I get an update on this eviction that I'm doing, this foreclosure? And it says, yeah. So it looks like she did not file a response of any kind. But being that it's day number 8, now the 7 days. So the way they do it is they close the foreclosure. They're almost like a pending. They close it because there's no answer responded. but they give them an additional 7 days. So now on top of those 7 days that this tenant or this resident chose not to answer a response, period, just ignored it, they give her another 7 days to be able to come back and reissue that again, almost like a grace period. Now she would have to pay for her to file, almost as if she was filing against us. But it gives her another 7 days. So it's like 14 days, 15, 16 if you count them, the both days, because you wait till the day after before anything can happen. So, okay, fine. So we wait another 7 days. On the 8th day, again, I'll call back and okay, so it was there any response? Of course not. No response at this time. So yep, it looks like both sessions have gone through. So at this time, we can issue a writ. So all right, well then what do we need to do to fill that out? Again, we can do that online, print it out, get it notarized, mail it in. All this is time consuming. You know, I'm just walking you through the process. So once they get the writ, the judge has to sign on it. Well, the judge is busy until next week. So that's a whole nother week. I got to wait just on the judge to review something that clearly been said and done just for him to sign it. So he does. He signs the writ. Fine. 7 more days went by. Now I got to call the local PD in this at this county. It's the sheriff department. I got to call the sheriff's department and let them know, hey, I got a writ of possession from the county. The judge signed. I need to go out there and get one of your officers to obviously go with us. And yes, always take an officer. That's part of the process. And trust me, it works better that way. All right, well, that's fine. But the sheriff is very, very busy. You see, sheriff, police department, all these agencies, they're worried about criminal. They're worried about all these kinds of issues, lawsuits, legalities going on. They're not so concerned or interested in going to help you empty out a mobile home. They're not going to do it. They're going to go out there. So they kind of put you at the back of the list where they can fit you in. And then whichever officers get stuck with it, that's who goes out with you. That's your story. Some of you may be in law enforcement. You know what I'm talking about. So they book us for this Monday, tomorrow, coming up. Okay, 8:30 a.m. They can be there. What you need to know now, because if the police department gets there and you're not there, ready for the writ to show them, you got to show them the writ in hand. Here it is, so that he can go knock on the door. He's going to leave, and then you got to start that process over again. Every county has different rules as to how many people you're supposed to hire or you're supposed to have as your team to be there with you. At this other county we had to have 7 men. 7 guys had to be there ready, whether they're going to take anything out of the mobile home for the owner and put it out by the curb or not. 7 guys had to be there present before the officer could say, okay, let's start the possession. Well, at this county, thank goodness, they said just have the agent be there, and basically they're going to make the resident be able to take all the stuff out. And typically they give them a set amount of time. All right, well, they knock on the door. It's like, you got to go. You know, you got a writ of possession. You're being evicted. You have 45 minutes or you have an hour to get whatever belongings you want, get them out, and you're gone, basically. That's basically the process. And I mean, that's, you know, that's ugly. At the end of the day, that's, you've got through an entire foreclosure, an entire eviction, and you're tossing someone out. This is a business at the end of the day. I remind a lot of investors, and a lot of investors get taken advantage of because, you know, we are allowed to have hearts. It works best if we have our hearts, if we care. But there's a fine line between caring and being taken advantage of. We all know when bills are due. We're all adults. I don't do agreements, contracts with underage people. These are all 18 or above. Okay, this is a little tough for you. It's like when someone's late, it's late. And here's the problem with that. If you allow somebody to be late one time and you do not charge a late fee, they will do it again and again and again and again, and it'll continue. And when you do evict them, guess who's the bad guy? Never mind all the times you help them out, you waive the late fee, you might even excuse them. I've been known to say, you know what, you only have 500 this month. I know it's 700. Just pay that. Don't worry about it. That's the length I was willing to go. That does not help anybody. There's set agreements, rule sitting there. All right. Let me go through this here real quick. A couple of questions. Tuesday, Reese, we got the Let's Do deals on Tuesday. Yeah, the deals are still going out. The spreadsheet is still the same. Don't forget it just gets updated, so you can just watch, review that. Send us an email. We'll send you a new one if you lost the link. No problem. And definitely, we're going to talk about Tuesday here in a second because I got opportunities for y'all. Anyone else? Right in here. Having a hard time reading. Termination. There's no termination of lease contract that can sign if it moves out, the property is vacant. Yeah, I mean, and there's so many little gray areas. We do month to month whenever we do rentals, and it's because month to month is so much easier to also cancel. We can simply send them a letter, hey, 30 days from now, we're not going to renew. But again, if they refuse to move out, it's one of those things you have to go through. If they do move out, but it says, there's no guarantee. My concern is them coming back and saying, I was not fully moved out, or because typically when somebody's late as a tenant and they move out, they don't let you know. They're just gone. So it's not like they sent you a text or in writing, hey, I have moved out. So whatever, and we try to come to terms on it. We tell them, even cash for keys. We know you can't afford the mobile home, so why don't we give you $300-400 so that you can move out, maybe go somewhere else, leave the home presentable, clean, give us the key, friendly in shit, but it doesn't work that way. So if you can get them to put that in writing saying, yes, they moved out, right, should be good. Okay. All right. I hope that helps. I know I went through the process quickly, and, despite what you've learned on here tonight, it's like, visit with your county, reach out to local attorneys, just review these things. I mean, it's better safe than sorry. You don't want to end up in court, and I've been in court more times than I can share with y'all. And I've seen where landlords have lost because of stupidity of a contract that ain't right, ideally to what the judge would consider ideal to an agreement. And a lot of landlords are lazy and they like to basically write something on paper and that'll work. It works until it does not. And that's not where you want to be. Time consumption, you're losing money as investors. Don't forget, we pay lot rent every month. So another week, that means I may have to pay another lot rent just because I'm waiting on somebody to get out there or somebody to respond. So you start getting into those departments where time is money. You want to file these, you want to have everything up to par. When we go up against anyone, we know we got everything on our side, all the ducks in a row, if you will. Okay. Tuesday, 7 p.m. EST time. Join me. We're going to be talking about mobile home parks. We're going to be talking about deals, and we're going to be talking about the park we've just purchased down in Central Georgia and the opportunities I have for all of y'all. I told many, many investors, and I've said it in the past, when GMHU buys parks, it's going to be owned by all investors. That's what I want in the communities. So that has come now, and we're taking over as early as tomorrow morning. So Tuesday, I will be down there visiting, checking out some vacant pads. No vacant homes at this time, but we are going to be expanding the park. And again, these are opportunities. If you have a mobile home to bring in, we can bring others in there. We can talk about the moving, the permits, inspections. We can coach you. There's a lot of stuff going on, but more and more opportunities. So definitely join us, Reese, especially you. You're asking about deals. So join me Tuesday. Next Saturday morning, we'll continue with checking calls and SECO, SECO. If you have not signed up for SECO, it is the largest mobile home manufactured housing network coaching retail event. It's coming to Atlanta September 10th through 12th. You need to join, all of you. And this is not my event. I keep asking me that. No, I will be speaking at the event. We will have a roundtable. We're meeting with every investor, every park owner. We'll be there to answer all y'all's questions there in person. Me and my team will be there every day that's going, but it's not my event. But I assure you, all of y'all want to come in and join because think of that network in itself. Everybody that's there either owns parks, own mobile homes, own real estate, funding, private money lenders, hard money lenders, insurance. I mean, you got everybody around that niche of mobile home investing. Join us. Send me an email. We do have a special link that we can send to you. You can be part of our team there as well, and we'll connect with all of you out there. All right, that's going to do it for this evening. 30 minutes are up, so I will see y'all Tuesday night. Thank you for watching.